very happy to be in Sofia once more. My name is Evangelos Gazis. I lead our work, Aurora's work in Southeast Europe. And today I will be talking a little bit about the current state of the market, the power market more specifically, but also I will be providing an outlook for Bulgaria and Romania, focusing on renewables, commodities, but also storage, which is key going forward. A couple of words about Aurora before I start. So Aurora Energy Research is a leading global company on energy analytics, energy market analytics and advisory services. We operate using our 11 offices around the world now, mostly in Europe, but also in the United States and Australia. We cover the entire spectrum of energy markets from mainly power, but also gas, hydrogen, flexibility, demand, electric vehicles, everything to do with energy. The ways we serve our clients are three, mostly subscription analytics. So these are regular reports that we provide for different markets and we provide on a subscription basis. Software solutions, where we make our models available to our subscribers to use and do their own modeling and analysis. And advisory services, which are more bespoke services like transaction support and policy policy work that we do. At the bottom and at the core of whatever we do is our proprietary model, and that is what differentiates us from others. We have a lot of in-house capability when it comes to modeling. And in terms of coverage, we have now an office in Athens for the last year or so, and this is the Southeastern European region office. We have a team of 15 people now covering markets including Greece, Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, Slovenia, Croatia, and Hungary. Okay, so this is the context for Aurora. Taking a look at where we are, how power prices have been in Romania and Bulgaria over the last few years. Obviously, 2020 was a very different year because of COVID-19. We saw the demand drop dramatically, and also the prices were much lower. But since then, we have seen a very dramatic increase in prices. In 21, prices went up by more or less 3 times the prices in 2020. And then in 22, we had even more demand, but also supply pressures that meant that we ended up with prices that were about 5 times what they used to be pre-COVID times. At the bottom, you can see the graphs with monthly prices. Different lines are different years. So the yellow one is 2020. You can see how prices peaked during the summer, but then with a milder winter and high storage, gas storage, we ended up at prices much lower than the peaks of the summer. But again, at much higher levels compared to 2020, 2019 prices. The main driver, as I hinted, is commodity prices. So gas, carbon are the main drivers for power prices. And we have seen here how these have evolved over the last couple of or few years, but also what is our view as Aurora going forward out to 2060. In this case, the black line is the historical, and the orange line is the central future outlook. So what we see at 2022 has been the peak, and this year will be much lower, but still much higher compared to 2019, 2020. We do expect a further drop of prices over the next 3 to 4 years, and this is mainly driven by the fact that there will be more gas supply across Europe in terms of more LNG terminals becoming available, but also decreasing demand. Electrification is one key driver, but overall that means that prices will reach a low by 26, 27 maybe. So this is our expectation. After that point, we expect a mild increase in prices, which is to do with the globalization of the gas market, and the fact that demand in China, for example, and other Eastern Asian markets increases over time with the switch, lower coal production and more gas production for electricity. Carbon prices, second major driver, also quite high at the moment because of new policies across Europe for decarbonization, which are expected to continue, of course, going into 2050, 2060. So we expect a strong growth of emissions trading prices. These will be over 150 euros per ton by 2060, we expect. Now, looking at the capacity mix in Bulgaria and Romania, after that slide, one of the key characteristics is the exit of coal capacity. Traditionally, coal has been the main source of power, but we have seen a drop of coal generation because of prices, of increasing renewables and the cost of emissions. And we do expect an even higher, faster exit of coal plants in the next 10 to 15 years. We expect a complete phase out of coal by 2038, although there is no official kind of coal exit kind of timeline. We do expect, because of the economics, the pure economics, the sheer cost of producing power using coal will mean that most of the assets will be out of commission by 2038. Even those which refurbish, I mean, they will reach end of life by 2038. Similar picture in Romania. A little bit faster coal exit. So we do expect all assets to retire by 2030, 2032, which is also the official phase out timeline set by the government. Very, very steep decline, which means that there is a high demand for new capacity. And part of that new capacity will be gas CCGTs. So we do expect strong growth in CCGT capacity across the Southeastern European region. I think we expect something like 1.5 gigawatts of new gas capacity in Bulgaria, another 2 in Romania, 2.5 in Greece maybe. So new plants will get online. A very important factor here is also the hydrogen, cost of hydrogen, how soon new plants can be refurbished and be able to use hydrogen going forward. But also, apart from gas, renewables are expected to play a very important role. Before we go into renewables, one additional component here is the demand. Demand is growing across the region, and this is mainly driven by growth more generally, but also electrification of different sectors. So heat, transport, but also hydrogen. So electrolyzers will be using electricity, and this is becoming more important when we look at the demand outlook. So overall in Bulgaria, we expect more than 12 terawatt hours to be added to the system from 25 to 2040, and about 10 terawatt hours in Romania at the same time frame, which also means that the peak demand will increase, which has a direct impact on how much capacity we need to have in the system. Looking at renewables now, very strong growth, solar and wind. The top one is for Bulgaria. We expect more than 5 gigawatts to be added over the next 8 years, and another 9.3 gigawatts in Romania. This is mainly driven by solar. So when we look at the economics of solar, these are stronger. There is also a strong correlation with storage, and a synergy rather than correlation, and that means that the ambitious plans that we have across the region for storage means that the economics of solar will also benefit. So yeah, lots of new solar, and much of that capacity will come through subsidies. So we have continued contracts for difference in Greece. In Romania, there is a new CFD that has been designed for a long time, and we expect it to go live soon. So yeah, lots of subsidized capacity, but also strong fundamental economics when we look at merchant assets. And this is what we are trying to visualize in this graph. So the gray bars are baseload prices. Of course, they are dropping over the next 15 years, driven by gas prices, as we saw, but still remaining at higher levels compared to the rest of Europe. And then we see the blue bars and the green bars, which are the capture prices for wind and solar, respectively. So you can see that there is a slight discount to baseload, which is to do with the fact that when wind generates, prices are lower because they push more expensive assets out of the merit order. More so when it comes to solar, because there is more correlation of production. So all solar generates at the same time. Is it me? Might be me. So yeah, the important bit here is that there is a strong discount. So you can see the green bars being much lower compared to baseload because of this cannibalization. But the important and optimistic side of things is that it remains higher than the diamonds, and the diamonds reflect the levelized cost of new capacity. So even in 2040, when you look at solar, the average capture price is higher than the average levelized cost when you discount the costs by 10% as a discount rate. So that means that new assets will still be economic even in 2040 with this strong cannibalization. Another important bit is the fact that prices become quite volatile. So with more renewables in the system, there are when you look at solar, there are diurnal patterns, so daily ups and downs of prices, which means that the average daily spread will increase, and that's the maximum minus minimum price instance in one day. The reason that is very important is to showcase the demand for flexible capacity to also balance the system, but also benefit from those price volatility. And batteries will be key in that. And we see that in Bulgaria and Romania, we expect collectively more than almost 3 gigawatts of new capacity, battery capacity by 2040. Final couple of slides. Talking about regional cooperation, I have a couple of slides to show the interconnection of the region. Both countries very well connected. Bulgaria has been connected to all of its neighbors and also planning additions to those interconnections. By the way, this is power interconnection. And new capacity is getting online to Greece and to Romania over the next couple of years. So Bulgaria historically has been a net electricity exporter. That said, we see very strong and ambitious plans from Greece and other places in terms of capacity deployment, like especially renewables. So that picture might change. But still a very strong interconnection, and that's not only for wholesale markets but also flexibility markets. That's quite important because going forward with more intermittency, the requirement for flexibility markets and systems that can provide cross-border flexibility will be important, and interconnections are key in that. Similar picture in Romania. Again, vast interconnection across the borders and many plans for further interconnections to Moldova, to Bulgaria, to Serbia, to Hungary. Different picture in terms of the net balance. So Romania has been a net importer of electricity, mainly importing power from Hungary and Serbia. But again, that might change. Romania has one of the most ambitious plans for deployment of renewables, which means that prices will drop and it might become an exporter in the next few years. So that's what I had in mind for presenting. I hope that has been useful.
Thank you very much. That's great. I mean, I have here two comments. One is, I mean, I see that quite a lot of the data comes from the NSPs. These are the National Energy and Climate Plans. I had a conversation with one senior political figure, actually, in Romania. And he was telling me that we're preparing now the energy strategy of Romania. And I said, well, you have a national energy and climate plan. Is that not more or less the same? He said, no, Julian, you don't understand. The national energy and climate plan is for Brussels. The energy strategy of Romania is for Romania. Nothing in common. And if you look at the Bulgarian national energy and climate plan, I mean, I would say it's inadequate. I mean, it has to be updated, but the proposal for it to update comes from the Bulgarian Energy Ministry, which produced something called Vision, which is more like a hallucination than vision. I mean, totally inadequate. So, I mean, my question here would be, how do you verify the relevance of this national energy and climate plans?
It's a very good point. And by the way, although NECP is a source here, that doesn't mean that those outlooks are.
You don't trust them?
No. No, I mean they inform our analysis, but we have our own view on how the markets will evolve based on the economics of assets. Yeah. So actually, there are 2 points. One is policy. What is in law? What is planned to happen, but also what the financial mechanisms allow. So, for example, in Greece, for example, which is the most recent because they just updated the NECP, we now have a very ambitious NECP plan, which is in certain ways pessimistic, but in certain ways super optimistic, and we don't believe that it will happen because the supply chain will not allow it, but also the financial mechanisms, like not just the subsidies. I don't just mean subsidies, but also financial institutions will not be able to support this kind of growth in the next 5-10 years. So yes, NECP plays a role, it informs us, but then we have our own modeling and we say what is feasible within a certain time frame, what are the economics, like I showed the capture prices. So this is what informs whether a new asset is economic to deploy. And in many ways, like in Bulgaria and Romania, we are more optimistic than NECP. So, I mean, it's outdated anyway. I mean, it has been around for years. But in
more
other
optimistic
ways,
from renewable
in
point
terms
of
of
view?
renewable capacity, we see much higher deployment of wind and solar in both countries compared to the NECP. Not the same increase. So the latest NECP does see much higher deployment than what we expect. Especially storage is and offshore wind is completely unrealistic, we think. The Greek one.
The Greek one, I guess. And the second point is about gas. I mean, you see quite a lot of expansion of gas, but with the massive expansion of renewables, don't you think that, and also with the carbon price, which will bite into transport and buildings very soon, and as you showed in one of your slides, the carbon price will continue to grow. I mean, it will not disappear. Don't you see a change in growth of gas? I mean, gas being kind of squeezed out of base load production and focusing much more on balancing when it comes to electricity.
Yeah, it is correct. I don't have the slide where I show the volumes of gas being used in the power sector, but yes, certainly. Although, as I said, we do expect this dramatic closure of coal in Bulgaria and Romania to be replaced by gas in some way. So there will be a few new CCGT plants across the region, which means that they will be generating more base load over the next 5 years. But as you say, going forward, it will be renewables that will be providing the base load. I mean, wind and offshore wind in the case of Greece. Yeah, gas will be more the flexible assets. They will continue to play a role. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they will be there into the 40s because gas will need to be providing this to supply during the evenings when solar is down. But yeah, the average load factors of CCGTs will drop quite a lot. And the other point is hydrogen, and that might shift. But I mean, they will CCGTs will continue to play a role as the balancers of the system. But not with natural gas, with hydrogen. And we do expect this shift in the early 40s in most regions.
But before hydrogen, if you look now at the production today, yesterday, last week, what happens, the Bulgarian coal production operates on half of its capacity, less than half of its capacity. And the reason is the growth of solar. The gap is filled by hydro. And obviously, if you have a lot of solar in the day, then you save quite a lot of hydro capacity. So the dams are full, and then they can generate whenever is needed. So this is, and the whole of Southeast Europe has a lot of hydro. So will hydro not be sufficient to play the balancing role? And that obviously affects the role of gas. Will hydro not squeeze out gas?
I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, as we saw in this slide, actually, demand will increase, and I don't think hydro will be sufficient to provide the balancing, especially to keep a reliability standard of the system. So, I mean, yeah, in an average year, maybe hydro can play this role, but systems need to be designed to withstand the extremes, right? So that means that gas capacity will need to be there, either through a capacity market some way. Yeah, in many instances, they will need to come in and ramp up because hydro will not be enough. And also, we don't see a lot of new hydro in the region. So, yeah.
No, but you see a lot of saved hydro during the day, because now, for instance, I haven't seen right now, but we can look, and probably at the moment, in the system, there is no hydro energy, or very little, because the sun is growing. So this capacity is saved in a way. So we won't use all the water to put it
but
in a very simple way.
It's highly dependent on hydrology, and if you have a continuous few days of limited gaps, then they are fine. It's okay. You will have enough hydro. But if you have a long period of low wind or low solar, then it becomes a problem. That's why you need to have reserve capacity, like CCGTs that might not have high load factors, but they need to be there ready to ramp up. And we've seen that even in countries with much higher penetration of renewables, like in the UK, for example.
Yeah, but there is no hydro there.
They don't have hydro, yes, but they put a lot of value in their CCGTs because of that reason. You do need that. But yeah, I see your point. And in many countries, actually, there are new hydro capacities. Like in Croatia, for example, there is new capacity. In Greece, there might be new pumped hydro, not the same, but sure, it helps. But at the same time, with increasing demand, I don't think it's going to be enough.
Okay. Well, it will be very interesting competition between the technologies. Thank you.